Hello, my friends. Good to see you all here. So we are in the middle of our best year yet workshops. I'm sorry, I'm just composing myself. We've just been having a bit of banter before we came on and got the giggles. So anyway, we're in the middle of best year yet, our free workshops. And today I thought it'd be amazing to bring in members of our hub membership to talk about how they're getting on with their own best year yet work, but also I know that they've taken part in best year yet before, so I thought it'd be really interesting to hear how other people approach this, because I'm sharing my way of doing best year yet, but other people might have a different approach. And I think sometimes if you hear that, it can help you alleviate some maybe fear that's coming up in this process, or different ways that you might be able to approach it. So I just wanted to share really quickly. Actually, I think it was Ryan, you brought this up around not having a longer term vision, and that you're really just focused on those 2024 goals this year. And I'll come to that in a second, because I just wanted to share that that's how I was last year. So last year, I didn't create a vision board. And so in all of this process, I will share steps that you can take, but sometimes they're just not relevant to where you are in your life right now. And so for me, years ago, when I set up United ArtSpace, it was the vision board that really carried me to where I wanted to be. And then I found the last year, I just kind of didn't feel connected to a bigger vision. I was just so dead set on what I wanted in the short term. And that was fine, because I still had my best year yet, and I achieved what I wanted to achieve. And then this year, I feel like I am stretching out again towards the bigger vision. So I just wanted to share that sometimes you don't have to have the vision board. You don't have to have like the big dream. If you're really dead set on, this is, I know where I want to go in 2024, and this is where I want to go. So I just wanted to share that. Have you got anything to add on the back of that, Ryan? Because I know that came up because of you.
Yeah, I just think when I think about larger goals, sometimes they get a bit overwhelming. So if I think about, and it's not just art, it's like in everything really. If I think about things in small increments, I'm more likely to kind of get to the end result, if that makes sense. I kind of look at it a little bit like, I know it's January, so some people might be able to relate. It's a little bit like trying to lose weight. If you weigh yourself every week, you're going to get disappointed. If you weigh yourself, a bit longer down the line, it might work. So I kind of don't want to think about the long term at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a terrible analogy, but
no, I get it.
I just find that if I work in the smaller increments, the bigger things will probably happen, are more likely to happen. Because then otherwise I'm thinking, if I look at long term and go, I want to be in my favorite gallery. That's in the back of my mind, but I don't want to write it down, because I think it will just sort of put too much pressure on myself. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I like that you've shared that, because there will be people here listening that feel exactly the same. And a part of this designing your own life is designing it in the way and the process that fits you and how you think. And there was a time actually for me where I was fixating on the bigger vision, and it was becoming annoying, and so I ripped it down. And so it definitely, part of all this is understanding how things do make you feel, and whether having that bigger vision serves you or is a disservice is something for you to work out, and then use it if it helps, and don't use it if it doesn't help. So I really like that. And sometimes if we do just fixate on the way we want something to go, we do then lose sight of the journey and the opportunities, because it might not be about being in that gallery per se. That might just be the flag in the ground to take us there. So I'm glad you shared that. Beth said it's so nice to see everybody. I know, it's so good. Susan says I totally relate to that, Ryan. Andy says the vision board gets you stoked and on board to reaching your vision. That's how you feel, Andy. I feel like for me, that's how I feel about my vision board this year. I feel like it's really giving me that longer term kind of excitement about where my life is going, whereas last year I couldn't see where it was going. I just thought, I don't know where any of this is going. So Ryan, where are you up to with your best year yet planning?
You came to me. Came to me first. Actually, I had a really good binge session this week. I've done my reflection, and I did my mind maps yesterday. And that's where I'm at.
And did anything come up from those mind maps that surprised you, or were you kind of just like, yeah, I knew this already? Like, does it feel like you just know?
Okay.
Oh, I feel like we lost you there.
Yeah, I'm breaking a bit. Maybe come back to me.
Yeah, I will do. I'm going to pop you on mute, Ryan, and we'll come back to you. Amanda, I'll come to you. Okay. Amanda, hello.
Hello.
So I know you've been doing Best Year Yet for a while now, haven't you? You've been chipping away at this process. So where are you in the process so far this year?
Well, I've done my mind maps. I haven't done a vision board yet because I've just exploding with too much stuff at the moment. So I haven't had sort of time to, find pictures and things. That almost feels like a sort of luxury to give myself that time. I know it shouldn't. It does feel a bit like a luxury making a vision board, and I just haven't got the time for that at the moment. But I've done my mind maps, and that was amazing because I do always have a problem with a blank sheet. It doesn't matter whether it's a blank canvas, a blank sheet of paper, whatever it is. I get, it gives me overwhelm.
Yeah, the blankness. Yeah. I know that feeling.
It's like, the less there is, the more overwhelmed I am, actually.
Yeah.
But once I've sort of, put the first thing, put goals in the middle, and I thought, right, this is it. Just get writing something. Once I've got 2 or 3 things down, it's like it's a snowball effect. And then my mind maps just sort of exploded off the page. And I think I did all 3 in about 20 minutes, actually. But there's loads of stuff on there. So, of course, now there's shelving and delving and honing down into what's necessary.
Yeah.
My money one was funny because I literally put one thing on it, which is double last year's income. That was it.
Keep it simple. I like it though. Keep it simple. Let's just go for double. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was somebody that, I think it was Helen, who said to me, why? What could you do with that? And that's quite interesting because obviously I put that down. Couldn't think what else I would want to put on the money one. But it is interesting to then go from that and think, well, if you did earn that, what would you do with it? What would it, would that just cover your bills? Would it allow you to do other things? Would it allow you to invest in yourself a bit more, etc., etc.? And I must admit, I hadn't really sort of thought about developing my money mind map in that way. So that's something I will reflect upon. But certainly the personal and the art ones were great. A bit like Ryan at the moment, I'm only thinking about 2024 because already 2024 is my best year yet, simply because last year I got accepted to exhibit in my big exhibitions this year in Paris, which is really exciting and wasn't even on my vision board or on my mind maps for last year or the year before. So that's just like icing on the cake. So I'm really, and I'm moving house this year as well. So I'm not thinking of bigger goals than beyond this year. 2024 is all I can cope with thinking about this year. So
I like that you share that because of course I moved house last year and I felt the same. Like there's only so much capacity and you don't want to overload. And so I think it's a wise decision sometimes to just go, this is what's happening and that's all I need to know. And then that'll get me through the year and then we'll review it again. And so I think that's really wise. And so just looking back then, Amanda, on the best year yet so far, how do you think this process has helped you in terms of where you are right now? Is there something that you have kind of cemented down or a vision that you've had and it's, worked because of best year yet? How has it helped you on a day-to-day basis, maybe?
I think it's helped me to focus and I think it's helped me to plan. As we all know, we all get curveballs thrown at us. So that focus and plan can be sent off in all directions, and we can't necessarily follow them. But if we've got a plan and some focus at the beginning, we could, at least we can kind of prepare ourselves a bit if there are other things that come our way that disturb those plans, because we've got them written down. So then we can work out how to postpone them, how to, you know, again, to reprioritize on what needs doing now if we've got something else that comes along and you know, gets in the way. So I think from that point of view, it's good. I think from the other point of view, for me, doing mind maps and doing best year yet, it actually helps my confidence, which is ironic because I don't see why it should, but it does. It feels empowering. It gives me a sense of I can do this, and certainly with the reflection sheets, because I think none of us realise how much we actually got done last year. We possibly think that we didn't do very much. And then when you start writing it down, you think, oh goodness, yeah, I did that and that and that and that. And you realise that you did far more than you'd actually, you know, realise that you'd done. And I think that helps with the confidence as well, to think, well, I did that much, you know, I can at least do that much this year. And actually that's pushing me on to do the next step or what have you. So, and certainly since I've been in UAS and been doing best year yet, you know, my art journey has soared.
What were some of the highlights from 2023, Amanda, you recall?
Oh, getting selected for Paris, not just once but twice, which was I mean, I think it's quite unusual to be selected twice as well. So I've got 2 paintings going in, so that's definitely been my highlight. And also I did find some really great collectors who bought 2 of my huge paintings and have come back to buy more. And obviously that's a really great feeling when you get a collector who's a repeat buyer. So so those are my highlights, I think.
Karen says, I'm doing this process for the first time. I completely agree with you that it's exactly how I'm feeling, like that confidence and empowerment. And lots of other people have said, the same, confidence, empowerment. Anna says, I can relate. Working through this process has certainly made me feel more empowered. And so it does me too. Like when I start this year doing best year yet, I get really excited about January because I know that I'm going to turn everything around in my head and I'm going to feel I can do anything. And it is from taking this time to do best year. That's why I take the whole of January now, because I kind of want to bottle it all up, because I love it all. I love the whole process. But I want everyone else to remember as well, if you're feeling that way, to remember that you can come back to this process. So when you learn it in the future, if you don't feel confident and empowered, you can come back and do this process. We have literally been doing this for not even 2 weeks yet. So you can turn it around in 1 week. You can feel like this in 1 week of going through this process, which is what I love. And it's a good reminder to everybody as well. If you're not feeling confident or empowered, because sometimes at this stage, it might throw up feelings of confusion and you're struggling to choose those goals and you're kind of questioning everything. It's usually because you're in your head. You've got way too into your head and you're overanalyzing everything. So if you're feeling like that, I really do recommend just taking a break from it for a little while, even if it's just for a day or 2, and stop questioning. Give your brain some space and then come back again. And you'll learn how to do this process without getting in your head. Because I notice it now. As soon as I go through the mind mapping and I find my head starts to come in and question, I stop and I just stop the process because I can feel it. And so I regain control again. So I'm coming from it from a place of intuition rather than my brain trying to overanalyze everything. So there's a question coming from Susan. Can I ask Amanda, has finding great collectors helped you know who your people are, or did you know already? That's a good question.
I probably did know already because I have been doing this quite a while. So I do know the demographic of my buyers. But obviously every time I have a sale, it confirms it, because they nearly always fall into the same demographic. So Yeah.
That's really good information to know, isn't it? And Tracy says, congratulations on finishing your piece. Yeah. If you've got any more questions, let us know in the chat and I will come back. So Nish, I'm going to come to you. Hello.
Hi.
So where are you up to in your best year yet planning, Nish?
Reflections I did.
Yeah.
I did my mind maps. I kept it very simple this year.
Yeah.
I just realized yesterday, this is my 4th year.
Oh, wow.
I think on one of the posts I put 3 years down.
Yeah, it's 4.
And I found the notes from the first year that I did. So
oh, that's amazing. That's gold.
I took some of the notes from previous years and just thought about it, and I just thought simplify it, just keep it, I think I put too much information on previous mind maps and it was almost very overwhelming. Last year wasn't great. I had the exhibition and obviously you came, we had to meet up. But overall, I think this year, from doing the mind maps now and the first part of the reflection, this year I actually did it, sat down and done it properly.
Yeah.
It seems a lot more positive, and I'm breaking it down into shorter term projects.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know what I want to do long term. I'm not putting it down on paper because that will just throw me out. So.
Yeah. So you've kind of you've got the vision in your head of where you want to go, and you're just focusing on the 2024 goals, and even shorter than that, kind of, are you chunking it down into 90 days?
I'm doing quarters.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a few things I need to finish by the end of March. So especially I've got to do 5 miniature drawings by the end of March and then submit them to a Bankside gallery in London.
Amazing.
So I need to get that ready. And then there's a couple of other things I need to finish off as well. So but yeah.
And when you've been doing your kind of reflection and looking at your art, the art that you want to make, do you have a vision for that, Nish, in terms of where you want to take your art this year? Or are you kind of just going with what you're doing already and you feel, confident that that's the right art to be making?
So previously my art's been spread out. So I've done portraits, pet portraits, wildlife. I did smoke, which I've never done before. A lot of the stuff that I drew in the last 3 years, I've never did before that. I had a 30-year break. So but I'm more inclined to, the one I'm doing now is also smoke.
Yeah.
So, and if that does well in terms of selling prints, then I'm more inclined to do a series of smoke drawings.
Yeah.
And add a bit of eyes, maybe wildlife, or even a spiritual, but each one has a theme of smoke in there.
Yeah. So for those tuning in, Nish creates hyper realistic drawings. Some of you might recognize Nish's work if you're in our community, the elephants and the eyes, and we've posted some of your work on social media. So I'm interested as well, Nish, because I remember a while ago you saying that you were exploring possibly drawing at people's weddings. Was it? Is that still on your radar?
So that's one of the goals.
That's on the shelf, the delve. Yeah.
So the three main goals this quarter is to finish the drawing I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Doing a wedding portrait so I can advertise that. And the 5 miniatures, which I need to get done by the end of March.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's it. And can you see how simple you can keep this? Because a few people were saying to me on the last Q&A call, I just feel like I've got so much to do. I'm stressed. It's there's so much. And you are the person in control of what you do and how much you give yourself to do. And that can be such a harsh realization sometimes, is that, when I know I'm busy, I'm creating the busyness. I'm the one that I'm putting the children into clubs, and then we're saying yes to this and we're going here because of me. I'm the one that creates that. And for me, when we went into the pandemic, I personally loved that time because it just stopped half of the activities in my life overnight. And I felt like I could breathe. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then there was loads of extra money as well, because I wasn't spending on things. We all had loads of disposable income, didn't we? But what it made me realize during the pandemic was you can live very simply. Like, and we all were living really simply, and it all brought us back to what is actually really important, and taking time to make a home, and people were turning to art, and people were turning to music and learning a language and taking time to do those things, because all of a sudden now we have the time to do what really matters. And that stayed with me, that feeling. And then it feels like post-pandemic, there's been now this kind of big surge again, because we lost touch with all of those things. And so for me, as I delve and shelve, I've been really thinking about what was it during the pandemic that made me feel so content with my life, and realizing that if I'm busy, I'm the one creating that busyness. So someone reached out to me and said, I feel like I've got so much to do and it's stressing me out. So if that was me, I'd be going, well, what do I need to say no to? How do I reduce this down? How do I just simplify it? How do I take it back to my COVID days when we were in the pandemic, where I just had hardly anything to do? I say no to things, let things go. And that sometimes is the realization, and you've got to make those decisions. And so, Nish, bringing it back to what you just said, Tracy just said here, thank you so much, Nish, for sharing. I've realized that I need to simplify my year too. Because sometimes when we talk about best year yet, there's so much conversation around that on social media about aim for the stars, dream big, push yourself, you can achieve so much. And that is true. You can, and you can aim high. And I like doing that, but not at the detriment to my mental health and what is actually really important. And so if you find yourself with this process getting really overwhelmed, just do what Nish has done, and just what is the next 3 things you want to get done, and focus on them. And then when you've done those, focus on the next 3, and you can work through the year that way. If you want to, it's totally up to you. Nish, thank you for sharing that. What do you have any?
One more thing.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It's so what people have to remember is I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I have to work around that as well. And my full-time job is quite demanding. It's not a normal 40-hour week job. It can be 50, 60 hours sometimes. So if you're in a place like that, you have to manage your time a lot better, and a lot simpler. Make it even as much easier for yourself as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue I've had previously, trying to cram too much in.
Yeah.
And just getting overwhelmed by the wedding portrait. I started in last January, and I still didn't get to finish it. So that's something I need to do.
Yeah. And it's just being kind to yourself about that. It's like it didn't get done, but here we are, and I'm going to maybe look at ways I can work differently. But at the end of the day, it's done. What is now part of this process. There's no point looking back going, oh, I should have done this, or if I'd have worked faster here, I could have been here now. And you might learn something as you're going through the delve and shelve and thinking about what worked well. And I nearly fell into this trap myself. What was it? I realized, I think it was gathering the points. And I just thought, gosh, if I'd have realized this 2 years ago, I could have been flying all around the world for free now. And if you're not careful, sometimes you can fall into the trap as, oh, if I'd have done this, years ago, I'd have been in such a different place now. And it's okay to kind of pinpoint some things that, I could have been, but I didn't. So don't dwell on it, I think is what I'm trying to say. When you learn things from the past that you can carry forward, just take them forward. There's no point dwelling too much. We want to look back for the purposes of learning, connecting with what is important to us, but not dwelling on what could have been if I'd have done this, or what could have happened if I had done that. Personally, I don't allow myself to go there, because you end up going down a rabbit hole. So Karen just said here, it's amazing, Nish and Charlie with a baby and a job. And we're going to come to Charlie in a minute. I'm going to go to Dodo. I'm just working my way around on my screen in order. So Dodo, let me just unmute you. I'm just going to. Oh yeah, you're already on mute.
I muted myself.
There was a bit of background noise, yeah, so I just put everyone else on mute. Lovely to see you, Dodo. It's been a while since we caught up, and you had your book, didn't you? And I've been meaning to catch up with you on this.
Indeed. So this is my second year with you guys and doing also the best year yet. And actually, one of my goals was publishing my book. So I had 3 goals last year, and I achieved all 3 of them. One was my book. And this year, I'm going to publish a hardcover of it together with my favorite artworks as well. So it's going to be a colorful album in a way.
Yeah.
My second goal was to finish the seasons, which I'm like marketing now and having already inquiries. It's a 16 canvas series. And the third one, Free of Depths, and I managed it in end of January. So I really feel like from all over the years, like to the last cent, totally free. And so these were my 3 goals. And I'm really grateful because putting out the goals really helped me, planning. But I try to keep a harmony between putting too much plan and leaving space, to play, because I have quite a critical mind, and our culture is also so, focused on achieving and doing. And I mean, as an artist, we have to live outside activity too. So life is a process, and our art comes from what we do. And that's really important for me. So I create also when I'm out or I'm traveling or I'm meeting someone and I have a new idea, that's also creating. And I don't really want to be fixed, on my goals. So for me, it's really important to know what I want to become. And that was my main goal this year, to not say I want to achieve something or I want to have this or that, but to see who do I want to become, like in the long term, like what does my soul aspire to? What kind of being do I want to become? Because that eventually is going to translate into my works too. I mean, our works are us. So, and if I can follow that, every day through breadcrumbs, then I'm really grateful for that. And that's my main aim. And this year, my word is to be worthy. So feeling worthy and trusting the process. So trusting my intuition and finding a way, because when I'm worthy, then the way finds me the same way as I'm finding my way. So it's all a process. And I believe that feeling worthy is a really, really important for us as creatives, because at the end, it works itself deep inside of whatever we're looking for. And that's my main aim, this year, and living fully my creative potential through different directions that I've put out this year. I'm really venturing out into including my art with architecture, space, perhaps fashion too. My art is part of spaces and environments, and I love to see that together, bringing it more into the world.
Yeah.
Those are my aims. But what I wanted to say regarding putting out goals is, I think our culture is really focused on this goal setting thing. I mean, it's like manifestation everywhere. And we forget that we already have everything. So if you start from where you are now, you can do anything. Just as an example, if you want to have an artwork, you're dreaming of having your works in a big gallery or whatever, reaching out to big collectors, etc. I mean, start from where you are, because you can do so many things already now. You can start showing your works, to your family, to your friends, online galleries. And I think when we start doing these vision boards and goal setting, it sounds super great, and then it starts going down over the months, because life is ups and downs, so it's part of it, and it's not going to happen like this. And sometimes we already get things, but we are so fixated on certain goals that we don't realize we already have them.
Yeah.
Or they manifest in different ways, which is actually what we've put out, So we have to, I think, take a bit more care about how we do this and be mindful about it, and also appreciate what we have now, because many times, we already have the things.
Yeah.
And it's not about achieving, and getting it and whatever. It's more about becoming on the process. So manifesting itself is the word, means revealing. So revealing what you already have within and bringing that out by letting go, by perhaps, working over certain issues that we have. And I think that is a work that as creatives, we need to do every single day. I mean, it's a work, and change is part of it. That's a really, really important thing. A lot of us don't realize, as you mentioned also, Michelle, the pandemic. I mean, change, every time there is change. So it's a continuous thing, and we need to be ready to change as well for these things.
Wow, I love that. There's a few things that I want to pull out of that, what you've just said. The first thing is the small steps that we're taking, and what you've just said there really resonated, because sometimes we get fixated on the goal, and that could be like a particular gallery or something. And like you say, and I see this happen within our community, where you've kind of got this big goal like you've just described, and then the small steps are reaching out to family and doing all the things at the beginning that actually a lot of people do not see how they are the steps, and they kind of belittle it. Oh, I've just got in here, I've just sold this to a family member, I've just, and people don't realize that these are the steps to where you're going. These are the amazing steps. And so many people downplay that. Oh, I've just been offered this, I've just been given this. And it's about celebrating those steps instead of seeing them as tiny little things in comparison to where you want to be. Because they're taking you there, and like you say, they are part of the journey. I love that. A lot of people have said, I think that question is great for all of us to sit and ponder, like, who do I want to become? Such a powerful question, isn't it? Of who do I want to become? And even just close your eyes for a minute and imagine yourself maybe in 5 years. And there's so many ways that you can question that. How do you think, for you, Dodo, you are approaching that in terms of how are you connecting with who you want to become? Is there any kind of practice that you're going through? How are you noticing those parts of who you want to become?
Well, I'm a meditator since more than 7 years now, or even 8. I've always been keen, and I always wanted to know myself since I'm a child. I mean, I'm a seeker forever. So it wasn't so difficult for me to go into meditation. It just flew into. And really, for me, that's like my sacred time, How I start my day is extremely important. I journal. I like to, I'm really a curious person. So I love to read and take other courses, about mindfulness, and love to read. I mean, I love spiritual teachers, and I'm just a person who's curious, but I believe you don't have to go so deep. I mean, you just have to ponder upon that. Just, every morning think about, like, what type of person do I want to, like, try to get out from your everyday, because, we get so, like, into this everyday routines and everyday activities, as you mentioned, and this and that, and problems and challenges. And you have to find a sacred place for yourself. And especially if you're a creative person, that's your fire, you have to protect it. It's like your candle. And if you don't protect that, you cannot give to yourself, and you cannot give to your community. You can't connect well with others. What my energy is translates to what I give out, how I communicate, how I send out an email, how am I gonna, respond to an interest. It really translates. So it's like a ripple effect, and energy is everything. So because I know that, I protect it every day. And if I have a bad day, no communication. I mean, then absolutely not. I just, accept it. And I do a lot of also kind of like kindness and compassion meditation, metta meditation. It's really important to be kind to ourselves. Again, going back to, creatives being emotional, extra sensitive. We gather energies from other places. And a third thing that I find really important is knowing my boundaries and having healthy boundaries. And that's a very important issue because boundaries mean a lot of things, of how you translate what your needs are, how you communicate your needs, how you take care of your desires in terms of who you connect with in society. And so talent is not everything. And knowing your boundaries and working on them, and yeah, it's a long process. But it's an everyday work, and I love it because it's also like creating like art. I mean, it's the same thing, at the end, because you're creating your own being, which eventually translates into the work. And whatever your tools are, there can be different tools. So there's so many things online nowadays, and just try out whatever works. That's oh, I always suggest that, try out whatever works for you. Not necessarily meditation, for some people it's sports, for some people it's doing music, or just drawing and scribbling, or playing with your child, or finding that person who just sits there and listens to you, while you openly talk about deep issues. I think these are really important things.
Yeah. So this is a great example of how we talk about, the 1 to 3 rocks or goals, how this can be translated into just one main word of becoming. And that's your focus, and having that trust in the process that will lead you to where you're going. So I just love that you've shared that other way of approaching this, because it doesn't have to be 3 like big goals that you're going to achieve, and it can be, but it's so fluid, this whole process. You can't really get it wrong. If you just take the steps and start to learn from doing, you will learn about yourself from doing this process, and you'll start to learn what works and what doesn't. And the other thing is, you are a person who is evolving. So what works for you last year might not work for you next year, because you've changed. And so I found that I can feel myself changing, and I'm adapting how I'm approaching this now. So it's a really nice way of thinking about it in that fluid way. I just want to go back to last year, where you did have 3 main goals, and just want to ask you around that. I'm sure people here tuning in might want to know, how did you stay focused on those 3 goals throughout the year? How did you make sure that you achieved them? When I know that you're a busy person and life takes over. So was there a practical way that you made those goals happen that you've reflected on?
Well, first of all, I'm a person who, if I have a vision and something, I'll go for it. So I don't have problems with that. I mean, I've done racing, and I do racing, and I deliberately find things pushing myself out of the comfort zone, and I'm pretty good at it. But yeah, I mean, I definitely put out like this. I mean, I really learned this, and I so appreciate it, putting out, just 3 goals on my calendar, and then like breaking them down into really, really small steps. And that is absolutely great. But I also gave myself like, I always, like I had a list of what I need to do, for example, the week, and then what I want to do, the most important things in my daily, in my day. So during the day. But I also had like, if I can do just 2 of them and just a little bit, I had that always in the head of my mind, I'm good, you know? So that's good enough. So I had like, let's say a list of whatever, 5 things. But if I said to myself, okay, so there's always a little, you know, like, if I can do that, I did it, you know? And always a treat. So if there's some things that I hate, like administration and, you know, going through your finances and stuff like that, I said, okay, I give myself an hour or 2 or whatever I need, but then I'm going to do and give myself a treat. I'll go out for a walk. I have a wonderful, nice coffee. I'm going to dance. I can create whatever I want, you know. So I always have like discussion with myself, with my little words, you know, the ones come out like, no, please. And I say, okay, calm. They're good stuff also, you know, just as I do with my daughter or, you know, with a good friend.
Yeah.
So, and way it's not like, oh my God. And then, so I had my deadlines, you know, for example, debt-free by end of year, finish my publication by this time, whatever. But it's not like, you know, like scribbled there. And if I don't do it, then it's punishment. I always left like, I put the, you know, like the strictest stuff out. So it's like, you know, like I really have to push myself towards it. But I know that, if it's a week before or 2 weeks before that I finish it, it's not going to be the end of the life, you know, like life is still going to go on. And, you know, it's not, like everything's over and disaster. So, yeah, I always have this thing, you know, of putting out the strictest thing and trying to be really, really precise, but then also allowing playfulness into it. And very important, I surrender, you know, because I know that sometimes we get into states of mind that like, oh my God, I have to do it. And there's so many things and I want to do so many things all at once, everything now, getting impatient. And again, exercise of surrender, you know, let it go. It's okay. So there were some weeks that I didn't even look at it, you know, what I need to do. And that's okay too, you know?
Yeah. Brilliant advice. I like the little treats. When I was off over Christmas and I had 2 weeks off and I was struggling to get back into work, I worked for like 30 minutes and then I treated myself and I had the nice drink, the turmeric latte, and then I'd do another half an hour and then I'd go and have a sleep. Then I'd do another half an hour. I was like, I could spend the whole year working like this. This is good. I've extended it out a little bit now, but I do think that's important to kind of, celebrate those achievements along the way. That's wonderful. Thank you. Before we move on to Charlie, let us know, what's your book called, Dodo? Just give us a little... Creating Again. Oh, yes, that's it. So the book is out if you want to go and search.
Yes.
We'll put a link below if anybody wants to go and have a look. It's an amazing achievement. Well done. Okay, I'm going to move to Charlie. So let me just unmute Charlie. Hello, lovely.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. A bit tired. Baby's been a nightmare in the night at the moment. So.
Charlie's the one with the baby, everybody. Yeah. Which, you know, I'm sure everybody's wanting to know how you juggle everything with a baby. Because I remember before baby, when you came in and you know, and said that you were pregnant, and then you were kind of reevaluating how this is going to work now that you've built up your art practice, and you know, you just didn't know how this was going to pan out. But you've done the most incredible job at keeping things going and finding that time for your art, and you've joined live sessions with your baby in the background. And so tell us, first of all, before we jump into that and how you manage that, how's Best Year Yet going for you so far this year? Where are you up to in the process?
It's not too bad. I mean, like Nish, actually, I've done it for 4 years now. So, and I'm organized enough that I've got like different folders of it on my computer, so I can look back at, you know, what I've done the year before and then the year before that. And it's what I find really interesting is that I've gradually, like, it seems to be a thing that we're talking about today, is simplifying things. And over the years, it's got simpler and simpler and simpler. I think, you know, year 1 and 2, I was kind of all over the place. I was just like, don't really know what I want, you know, kind of mind maps everywhere, and, you know, just a mess of all of these ideas and things that I want to do, and all of this. And it's gradually really kind of simplified. And so this year, there's only really 2 goals. And what I know is that I have this overarching big goal, which is, you know, to be working as a professional artist and to make, you know, most of my money from doing artwork. And then everything else is sort of leading to that goal. So, you know, and then, you know, I've obviously got this ongoing goal to buy a house as well. I keep going on about this.
No, it's good that you keep going on about it, because then you'll make it happen. Yeah, I know, it's great.
So that's that's on it for this year as well. And then, you know, from last year too. And then the other thing is that when I go back to work after maternity leave, I've decided I'm dropping another day, so that, you know, obviously to put the baby first and, you know, look after the baby, but hopefully I can carry that through and create more time for the artwork as well. So the next immediate goal is to make up that shortfall of money, you know, so that's the 2 goals for this year, really. So it's just really kind of paring everything back and simplifying everything into these 2 goals. And then I think because I've done that, I now know where to go, you know, and because I've done the last few years as well, and because I'm a bit more experienced, and, you know, I know what was coming up from last year. So I've been able to sort of say, okay, so the deadline for that was then last year, and the deadline for that one was then. So I can kind of think about those in advance a bit more and plan for those and be more focused about it, I think.
Yeah, I love that, because people here that are maybe doing this process, maybe you've never done anything like this before, you know, you might kind of go into this thinking, well, I'm going to achieve this year, and or, you know, I'll be able to get this done, or you might be all over the place, because I was too, and I had like 1 million goals. Like, I'm not just doing 3, I'm going to do 1 million, because I can achieve anything. And so, the more you do this process, you do learn. And I find the same. I've definitely simplified over the years. You just learn how to just strip it back. And I think the other thing is you learn how to put these goals into buckets, because I think some people come into this thinking, but I've got so much stuff to do in my life. And it's not to say that you're not going to do all of that and that you've only got 3 things to do for the rest of this year, but it's knowing how to just compartmentalize, and then that becomes the goal that you return back to. Does that make sense, Charlie? I don't know.
No, it does, because to be honest, I'm not very good at using a wall planner. Like, I know that, you know, the idea is you get a wall planner and plan it out, but I'm not very good at that. You know, that doesn't work for me at all. What works for me better is just, you know, I plan my life, obviously, you know, I have certain things that I know are coming up, but is also just keeping in mind the goals. So, you know, they're constantly in the back of my mind, and I know the steps that I need to take to do those. But I do them in my own time, because I know that if I say I'm going to do this on a certain day, I know that I'm just going to panic about it and fail, basically. So I need to leave it really flexible for myself. You know, especially with all the things, and the baby and the other child, and, you know, all of that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. And so without the wall planner, I'm like, how are you doing this? It's making me twitch. So, but in seriousness, no, how, because I guess people will be here thinking, I don't want a wall planner either, because it's not for everybody. And so how do you get that sense of how things are feeding into each other? Is it a case of you're going to come up with those goals, and then do you use a digital calendar, or are you paper based, or how do you manage those bits?
So some of it is just in my phone, like on the phone calendar, you know, and I don't go that far ahead, to be honest. I'm always thinking month by month rather than the whole year. It's just the way my brain works. I can't, you know, I've bought a wall calendar for the last 3 best year yet and just not put anything on it. It's just gone in the bin. So I just thought this year I'm just not going to buy one.
You know, after year 3, if it's not happening, it's not happening.
Exactly. But I've still managed to achieve things. I mean, to be honest, last year I started with 0 expectations in best year yet, because I just didn't know if I was going to be able to do much at all, really, because I was pregnant and I knew I was having this baby in May, and so I made a couple of really ridiculous goals and said, why not? Let's just make some really ridiculous goals. And, you know, but one of the goals I actually made a lot of headway with, you know, despite everything. So, and I think it was just, rather than planning it all out, it was just always in the back of my mind. And I was just constantly visualizing this goal and thinking that's what I need to do to get to this next step.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think as long as you kind of keep visualizing everything and you know, keep it in your mind, and don't, you know, try and be focused on things, because, you know, I think that's how I got through last year and to where I am now, is just really focusing in on certain things and not getting distracted.
Yeah, I love that. Again, that just shows you how you can design your life in any way you want to. And if you want to roll month by month and that works for you, it's all about finding what works for you. This is why I wanted to bring people in today, because there is no one way of doing this. And I think that it boils down to what is it you want to do and what are the next 1 to 3 steps to get there. And that is it in a nutshell. And I think, yeah, for some people, being able to see the mountain that we're about to climb is really intimidating, isn't it? And so potentially having that wall planner out, I'm like that. Sometimes I can have the wall planner out and sometimes I literally just can't, because I just can't even see it. I'm like, no, I don't need to know all the stuff that's going to happen for the rest of the year. So I map it out on the calendar and then I put it away and bring it out when I need it. And I think for some people with the wall calendar, it's helpful if you do have activities that you do need to plan ahead. So if you've got exhibitions in the future and you just need to see how they're impacting each other. But yeah, I just think, yeah, you don't need it. Like Charlie here has managed to have her best year yet with a baby as well. And it works in seasons. One day you might find you need the calendar. Who knows?
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, I do refer to my phone a lot and look at that calendar. You know, it's not like I completely don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Just wing it. You get up every
but
day.
It's like you say, if I have it on the wall, it's too much. It's too frightening in a way.
Yeah.
And so I need to have it somewhere where I'm not looking at it, you know, and then I can look at it if I choose to, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the way that works for me and my brain.
Yeah. And so what are your tasks this year? What's your vision? Did you tell us?
Well, yeah. So, you know, the main thing is to really kind of start, you know, seriously trying to look for a house and, you know, do that kind of thing.
And making a living from.
And still, you know, I can't see that as a serious thing yet, just because of the amount of money involved and, you know, all of this and that, and just the process that you have to go through is just too big at the moment. So I'm just looking at, you know, just the tiny steps that I can take towards that. So that's more of a long-term thing.
Yeah.
And then the other goal is the money goal of, you know, just covering the day that I lose from work, basically.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. That's so good. That's
so good. And so what, you know, the goal that I kind of fulfilled last year was making more relationships with local galleries, and, you know, with the idea to get an exhibition in one. And I've done that, you know, so I've got an exhibition on at the moment in a really good local gallery, you know, which has a really good reputation. They sell a lot of artwork, you know, so I'm hoping that they can sell the artwork. And in order to do that, because I knew that my time to create art is so limited last year, so I had like 2 hours a week. I was using that studio session basically to do all of the artwork.
Yeah, wow.
And because I knew, you know, I'd asked them if they wanted one collection or the other, and they said, we want this collection. So I spent all of my time focusing on just that collection, basically.
Yeah.
So this year, because literally all of my work from last year is in that gallery now, so I just don't have anything left, really. So, you know, so the priority is to, you know, get that creation time sorted out again. And just start talking to more galleries. I've got my eye on a couple that fit my who and my what, you know. So yeah, and then I'm just going to focus on create. And I've also got some little tiny pieces on the go as a sort of, you know, how you talk about having the different price points.
Yeah.
I had a really good idea for the really low price points recently, so I'm just working on those at the moment.
Yeah. So this is good because all these little goals are feeding in. And I remember, was it last year or the year before, where your word was, there was a word related to your art, and it was kind of like that atmospheric.
Oh, atmosphere. Yeah, that was last year. Yeah.
Was it last year? Yeah. And so you had that word, didn't you, that kind of summed up how you wanted to take your art. And I have just loved seeing your art develop over the last year and how you've really encapsulated that. And that just shows you, if you just focus on, you can use this process to focus on like a word for your art and push it in that direction. And it's been amazing to see. So that's
because it's consolidated all of the artwork as well. So it's given it a sort of consistency. Really, so I've got 2 very consistent collections on the go.
Brilliant.
And they appeal to people, which is the other good thing, so that's been good. And then I'm kind of carrying that on now, and so it's really kind of honed in on what I want to paint as well. Because I know that a lot of people have problems with what to paint a lot of the time as well, which I totally did. When I first came to United ArtSpace, I was all over the place. I didn't know what I wanted to paint. I had so many different ideas, and it's taken me this long to just really home in on what I want to do and what's important to me to paint, and why I'm doing this, and so. Yeah,
I like that you share the long game, because sometimes we come into this and we just want it now. Like, I just want to know where I'm going. It's like, for me, I know I'm going to go in a new direction, and as part of me, I just want to do it now. I want to know what it is, but I know that it takes time, and it's allowing that time, and being open to that, and knowing that not everything can be instant gratification and like instant results, that some things do take time. And if you keep going, you look where you are now to where you started.
I know, and that's it. And that's why it's good to do this year on year as well, because you look back at the goals that you were setting and the achievements that you'd written down.
Yeah.
And, it is these little tiny steps.
Yeah.
And, everything you're doing, even as you were saying before, even just selling to friends and family, or, having just, things that you don't consider a big thing, they are all really important steps on the bigger picture, the wider path, really.
Yeah. It's been amazing to watch your journey, Charlie. Thank you so much. Ryan's in the naughty corner, like literally he's in the backstage. Should we bring him in? Hello, Ryan. Hold on, let me unmute you. Oh, you need to unmute yourself. Hello.
I've been making. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm now broadcasting from the moon. And, I've just added get better Wi-Fi in my studio to my art mind map.
Oh, have you?
Sorry about that.
But no, that's okay.
I'm happy to do a quick fire round if you want to just fire questions, and I'll answer them as quick as I can.
Well, I can't remember where we were up to when we were chatting with you, but so tell us then, what are your plans for this year? Like, have you got a top 3, or what's going on with your best year yet?
Yeah, so my plans this year are very much around. Last year it was more about galleries, trying to get into galleries. But this year my plan is to get into competitions, do more competitions.
Yeah.
To sort of try and get a bit of a wider audience. Obviously, it'd be lovely to win any competitions, but I'm kind of looking at it as it'd be good to see if I can get some recognition, see if I can just get a bit of a further reach, and then just keep developing my work. My word for this year is develop, because I feel like last year I kind of found my voice. So this year is just developing that voice. So develops my word for this year. Last year it was just but
was that the word?
That was the word. Please write in the chat how you think you'd spell that, because I've got my own ideas. But so it's competitions, develop my work, and I would like to work towards a solo exhibition as well.
Yeah.
Because I've got lots of work, a lot of which is not sold. But I'm now spinning that as a positive and saying, well, it hasn't sold, so now I have it and I can put it on the wall somewhere. So It's a lot of being a little bit more positive. I've had some down moments, especially at the beginning of this year, but yeah, I think things are looking up a little bit.
And so is selling on the radar, like as you mention it, is something that you want?
Kind of. It's not at this point a priority. What I realized is that when I was looking at my art and the way it was developing, was that I think I'm playing a bit of a longer game with my art.
Yeah.
Because I kind of look at it and I go, I love it. And that was not an easy thing to say as well. I just realized I said that live. I love my work, and there are people that love my work as well. But I realized that there's still some developing to do, and it's not the sort of art that is instant for people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people instantly look at it and go, I must buy that, I must have it now.
Yeah.
So I think my art is the sort of art, I don't know, I kind of feel like it might be the sort of art that takes people quite a while to think, I like it. Do I buy it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like selling's not massively my priority. So I just want to work at what I'm doing and find an audience, find a bit more of an audience really. Because I think my audience is out there, but it's not quite ready.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I think that's how I feel about it. I think
it
selling
does.
is wonderful, but I've sort of taken that burden off my shoulders a little bit, and I just sort of want to develop. And so that's why I'm going to do a PT course this year and become a personal trainer to have flexible work that I can do around my art, because art is still the main goal. But those bills have got to be paid.
Yeah.
That wolf at the door's not going anywhere.
Yeah. No, this is a really interesting conversation, because sometimes, if, money is a goal, of course, for all of us, because everyone has to have money. And so I love this conversation because when you're making art, you can decide whether you want to push it down that selling route and adapt it so that it converts and, do all of that and sell it and find the collaborations. And I mean, it sounds like you're really taking notice of the journey that you've been on so far and recognizing that in that process, you might lose part of that development that's still going on. Yeah. And so maybe it's not time yet to sell. And I think this is such a brave thing to do. It's like sometimes we've got, and Charlie, I know you'll echo this, that when you've been kind of developing and you're developing your voice, that's a sacred act, isn't it? And sometimes you don't want to get derailed by trying to appease other people to sell it, when actually you're on this journey of discovering your voice, and we've seen you evolve, and it's been amazing. And so sometimes I just think you'll see in the future and you'll start selling and go, it just wasn't the right time then. I feel like that's how it's been for me in things that I've tried to sell, and then they've sold later and I've realized that wasn't the right point. And so again, it's that trusting the process, and you've found a way now to design your life and do actually something that you enjoy in your day job and do this at the same time, which I think is brilliant.
And can I also just geek out for a minute, because I'm really happy to be sharing a screen with these guys. It's kind of like sharing the screen with celebrities. It's really unusual. You're all my favourites.
Oh, we're a good bunch. Yes,
there's other favourites out there. Don't get offended.
It's just now said on live video who his favourites are.
Oh no.
I'm joking. No, that's good. I feel, and then some people have just put here that I think where's that comment gone? Hold on a second. Where's it gone? Here it is. Oh no, where's it gone?
Don't worry, David, you're a favourite as well.
Joyce says, yeah, this is so recognisable for me. I'm also still developing and finding the who, and not yet too focused on selling. And I need to be patient too. And I think sometimes when you're in that stage, and I remember my friend Sharon, bingo boards out, going through that, where you're doing the right thing. It's like you're developing, finding your people at the same time, because then that's where you start to figure out how you're going to sell it. And I do remember Sharon being in that stage of having no idea who her people are, and she was really developing her voice and trying to figure out who she was as an artist, because she was painting and sculpting and doing all the things. And so then started to do that alongside connecting with other people. And that's when it all started to fit into place. So I think it's a really good good call. And someone else was saying in here, where was that comment gone, that where someone said it's reassuring to know that art doesn't have to be about selling. And I can't find the comment now. But it's right. You can take.
If anyone does want to buy it, please do. But
yeah, Ryan's work is for sale. We'll put a link below. But yeah, no, it's taking that pressure off, isn't it? And what Dodo was saying about Dodo's goal, you know, about who do I need to become, and I think that's what you're doing. Is like who is the artist that I am becoming, and focusing on that and knowing that you're going to go in the right direction. There's different ways of approaching. Oh, we've gone over time. David, did you put the clock symbol in? I didn't see the clock. So
that's my fault. My bad Wi-Fi. I do apologise.
No, it's all right. I'm glad we got to speak to you. Yeah, Moira suggests, I love Ryan's work, just seeing it during these lives, and I've gone to your Instagram, so very appealing and full of life. There you go. It's a lovely compliment. So yeah, we better wrap up. We could sit here for another hour, but I know my friends here have got things to do. So I'm really appreciative of everybody coming in. I'm going to unmute everybody. Thank you so much to Nish, Amanda, Ryan, Dodo, Charlie. We've put the links in the chat if you want to go and follow the artists who have been on today and follow along their journey. Please do. And thank you, everyone. It's just so insightful and always great to hear how everyone else is approaching Best Year Yet. So I appreciate you bringing this to us today. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.